The opinions voiced on Decades are the panel's own freely given opinions. You may not like them, you may not agree with them, but you will be able to hear them. Some may call it controversy, others may say passion. Either way, this episode of Decades delivers. Please let us know how you feel about it.
Welcome to episode 19 of Decades, the show where you've got men in their 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, and 20s. We're going to talk about things that you normally wouldn't talk about. We're going to probably disagree on a lot, but at the end, we're going to try to agree to disagree, and that's what we want everyone else in the world to do after they watch this show. Remember, if you have any questions for the panelists or myself, you can email rubio@therubiomethod.com. That's rubio@therubiomethod.com. Sub 60 Ed will also have an email. I just can't remember right now. Sub 60 Ed, welcome to the show, the producer, the lighter, the gaffer, the driver, the Rubio handler. What's up, my man?
Hello, Mr. Rubio. Glad to be back. Seems like it's been a while since we've been on together talking about it. But let me correct you first so the people have the other email address. It's ngbntved@gmail.com. Be the questions. So let's not waste any time and let's get at it.
All right, we're going to start with our 20-year-old representative. We've got Charles Wallace Jr. We call him Chalice. He's from the Philly area. He's representing the 20s. He's a two-time, not a three-time wiffle ball champion. Still fighting through a sprained ankle. Still looks like Serpico. And he's really into AI blondes in bikinis. What's up, Chalice?
Oh, what's up, Rubio? Pleasure to be back.
All right, here we go. In our 30s, we've got crowd favorite Joe Nolan, also from Philly, but likes to weekend on the Jersey Shore. He resides in Philly, and he's a small business finance at tech startup and community involvement, and his company just went public a couple weeks ago. What up, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Rubio? What's up, jabronis?
Representing our 40s, we've got a special guest. His name is Harvey Laguerre. He lives in Florida. He's a father of 4, and he runs Men Are the Prize podcast. What is up, Harvey?
What's going on, boys? I've been ready to get here and get talking, so bring it on. Let's disagree. Let's go.
Here we go. Representing our 50s, we've got 2 of them. Alex Chris is based in Los Angeles. He's originally from the Ukraine, grew up in the USSR. Software developer who currently lives in LA, likes gadgets, good beer, and guns. All right. Welcome, Alex Chris. We call him Gru.
Greetings from Los Angeles, the capital of smash and grab.
There's no doubt about that. And representing our 50s as well, we've got no 60s. Jim Gingrich. He's an Idaho native, cybersecurity consultant, enjoys outdoors, and only owns 1 gun. What's up, James Gingrich?
Welcome to the jungle. Good to see you guys.
All right, just like last time, before we get into the, let's say, the meat of the show and what we're going to talk about, we've got some email questions. Let's start with Ed. Ed, you can come back on just for a little bit before. I don't want to see you again. Ed, if you had to hang out with someone on the panel, who would it be? And it can't be Joe since you two are related.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a good one. Who would I hang out with?
I mean, this is an obvious answer, Ed.
Yeah, I'd hang out with Jim Gingrich because, he would show me, and here's the real reason why. He's got that wilderness 4-wheel drive and going into the back country and, all that stuff. And that's, yeah, exactly. Whoa.
Okay, to just say I'm hurt is an understatement. We're moving on. This question is for Joe. Joe, how come you always call everyone a jabroni at the beginning of your set? What does that mean?
It's just a John. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. You're either a jabroni or you're not.
Okay.
It's a Philly. It's a Philly thing.
Oh, it's a Philly thing?
Yeah, it's a Philly thing.
I thought it was like a shore thing.
It's a wrestling thing. Let's be honest.
Yeah, isn't it from Razor Ramon?
It's a Razor.
Yeah.
I think it is.
The Rock really is the one who got that out there to the forefront.
Oh, yeah, The Rock. Here we go. This question's for James Gingrich. James, you definitely seem to be the most serious of the panelists. Do you ever let your hair down?
Well, you know the answer to that, Rubio, and there's probably pictures to prove it. My dad, they used to call him grumpy. That's just my look. I hardly smile. I get in trouble for it, but I'm actually a full party going on inside all the time.
Okay. This question is for Alex. Alex, being an immigrant, what do you think about the current border situation?
I think what we have in our southern border with Mexico is totally unacceptable. And I'm all for legal immigration. You stay in line, you follow law, and you get into the country like I did 28 years ago. Nobody should be able to just jump in and say, hey, I'm here.
Got it. Harvey, we actually do have a question for you. Harvey, you're a stay-at-home dad of four. Four, right? Not three, four?
Four.
What's the best and worst part about being a stay-at-home dad?
The best part is watching my kids leave for school in the morning. Damn, that's wonderful. Get the hell out of here. Go learn something and leave me alone. The worst part is watching the kids leave and go to school in the morning. They're crazy, but they're mine. So
Good answer.
So it's the same.
We'll go to me. Rubio, you seem to always want to poke the bear. Doesn't it bother you that you always want to argue? Absolutely not. I enjoy it. I enjoy a good confrontation. As long as we can remain civil, I will talk all day long and keep poking that bear just because I want to, if someone disagrees with me, which I have no problem, I just want to know why they disagree with me and see if they can change my mind. Because at the end of the day, it might be just, okay, we're just going to agree to disagree. That's fine. Last question, Charles Walls Jr. You joke about blonde AIs and bikinis, but would you really date one if you had the opportunity?
No, I would not date an AI blonde. I prefer to date real blondes.
All right, here we go, guys. Tonight, the topic is whatever happened to, and then you guys fill in the blank. All right. So let's start with, let's go with Charles Walls Jr. You go, tell us whatever happened to.
So we got into it pretty intensely in the group chat yesterday, and I was trying to think of how to word whatever happened to, and I settled on whatever happened to parental consent, because we started out yesterday talking about Scott Adams and his new book, and it was not going to be sold on Amazon. Now that's been nixed. It is going to be sold on Amazon. I saw it today. It wasn't. Now it is. But then we kind of got off the rails and we got into books being banned. And I take issue with the phrase books being banned because these books aren't banned. These books, you can buy them. They're just not available for young children in elementary schools. And the way I see it, when I was growing up, if I wanted to buy the new Call of Duty game, my parents had to go to GameStop with me because there was explicit violence in the game. These books are not in school libraries because there's explicit sexual content within the books. So I can't see why we need these types of books readily available for children in schools. I think it's, skewing things to say they're banned. The books aren't getting burned in the street. The book, you can go and buy them. You can order them online. You can go to a store and buy them. There's no need to have sexually explicit images in a school library for your son or daughter, under the age of 10 to be able to get without you being there to say, no, you're too young for that.
What do you think about the argument where someone says, well, it should be the librarian's job to know who can have such and such books?
No, because that just puts, I have no faith in our education system as is. I think it's horrible. I do not trust a librarian to keep track of all that. Like I said, if you want your child exposed to that, go buy the book on your own time. But my child is my child. My child will never be the state's child. So there's no need to have that in school. It's a very simple fix, just don't have the books in schools.
Okay. Joe, you just wet your palate, so you're ready to talk. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, it just feels like a argument straight out of the 1960s, and it just seems crazy to me because it doesn't matter if these are in the libraries or not. There's also computers, and they have cell phones in their pockets. People are being exposed to new ideas, and you can't pretend they're not going to get information out there. The whole point of having books, I think one of the ones was an illustrated book talking about how someone's own personal journey led them to realizing that they're not on the gender binary. And it's just a story that someone told. That's just allowing people to understand that, You know, what they are going through isn't alone. Other people have been there, and helping create the acceptance that can really affect a young person's outcomes. You know, if you're a 10-year-old and the book that you read last year that gave you hope and like made you believe that it's okay what you're going through and you're normal now gets banned and you're told that it's perverted, what happens to you? You're just now trying to force people back into the closet, making them feel like shit. Like to me, the whole thing is just ridiculous. Like they're going to go look at TikToks talking about trans people and gender dysphoria and Ukraine and goop. Like people are never had more access to information. To try to like grandstand in politics in public libraries is nothing more than artificially restricting it for like political points.
But what about the argument, Joe, of saying, yes, that true, you can look at TikTok and all this, but that's on your own time. If you're at a public school, maybe you don't have it available for the 10-year-olds. Yes, you can go home and you can, your parents could give you a cell phone and you're not monitored at all. That's one thing. But at this public school that people are paying taxes for, maybe it shouldn't be. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I read a story from a librarian that said, you know, that one of the books that got banned was really important to her because she remembered the girl that came in and read it. And she couldn't like check it out because she was afraid her parents would find out because she'd get beat to the fuck up for coming out as queer or exploring those ideas. Like the whole idea is like, I'm blessed to have had a fairly safe and healthy childhood growing up. That's not the normal for a lot of people. And if they don't have a place they can go, then they're just going to always be abused and create really like depressed people. And I think that's really depressing because there's a lot of ways to experience this like really short life that we have. And for me to say only my way to do it is right is completely insane. And I don't have kids. I don't have anyone in school. So I really don't even have an opinion about this. I think like each district can make their own decisions, but realistically, I'm anti-books being banned and open to freedom of information.
Okay, go ahead,
Freedom of information is showing kids how to suck dick, Joe. I sent pictures in the group chat. It's very explicit images. You're acting like it's like love is love, kumbaya bullshit. It's not. This is books that will show kids how to do very explicit adult sexual things. And you're going to sit there and tell me that it's, going back to the 1950s? If going back to the 1950s means a 10-year-old doesn't have to see cartoons sucking each other off, sign me the fuck up.
Well, can I just jump in and say this sounds, by the way, parent of four, we mentioned that before, this sounds like a cop-out. By the way, I live in the state that feels like invented the whole book banning thing.
We're not banned.
So, well, okay, maybe ban is not the word. Now we're going into semantics.
No, you're not.
For me, I wouldn't mind if those books were in libraries. Now, if there's a book that is, here's how to properly suck a dick, and then there's chapter 1 holding it, and then, cup the balls. If it's that ridiculous, then by all means. My children are intelligent enough, have been raised smart enough that just because something is in a book, that doesn't mean that defines them. They can think. My kid can read Mein Kampf and be like, you know what? I probably don't want to be a Nazi. So I don't agree with the Third Reich. And as the Black person in here, understand there are a whole lot of books written about my history that people are banning because they don't want my history to be spoken about. Yes, I can buy a book, but we literally are at the point where we want to avoid talking about stuff that has happened to people that don't look like you.
And stuff that I'm not going to, no, we're not going to.
Well, sorry, that's part of it. If you're banning people,
I can say that's a cop-out. If you want to sit there and tell me that I don't want kids exposed to sucking dick and literally sucking dick. That's
Harvey, I just sent you the
circular reasoning. You're copping out.
Harvey, I just sent you the picture.
Why I'm copping out. You can read the book.
Harvey, I just sent you the picture that was going around in our text thread that Chalice sent. But my question is still, Harvey, yes, you bring up a very good point. You have very intelligent kids. They're being raised by a 2-parent family home. So you're very on them. And you're at home. So what happens to the kid who's a latchkey kid who doesn't have a father at home?
So
but I'm saying if he's not raised in the right manner,
that's not the
and he doesn't really know,
that's not how people work.
That you skip the point. There's going to be an exception in every situation. There's going to be, 2 parents, but wait a minute, one of them is blind, can't read it to the kid. You can come up with an excuse in every way.
Well, of course you can.
End of the day, 1 parent, 2 parents, no parents. You have to raise intelligent thought people who think, who can have an opinion. You can agree with this, you can disagree with it. If you hold something back from a child, at some point they're going to see it. What?
We're holding back sex from a child. We're not holding back, again,
No,
love is
that's
love,
not sex. That's
sucking dick isn't sex.
That's one. Sex is not just sucking dick.
I know,
not
it's
according to
also
Bill
a lot of
Clinton.
So
other
it's
stuff
one
that show
part of the whole act. If it's
so why does a kid need to know that?
Why do we teach it in health classes? I mean,
We
there's a
don't teach
lot.
how
The
to
whole
suck
reason
dick
it's in
in
that
health class.
exact book that you sent is to show people the safe way to do it. Because if you're
Why
young
does a
and you've
10-year-old
been,
need to know the safe way to suck dick?
you know what, Charles, if you just want to accept that only your way of living is the only way to do it, that's fine. But that's
So
not
you want
the world.
10-year-olds, Joe, right now, tell me to my face, you want 10-year-olds to know how to suck dick. Right? That's what you're saying, right?
Oh,
your way's the only
Charles,
way.
I'm going to tell you right
Charles.
now to your face that I don't think we should be banning books. How's that?
Well,
We're not. The books aren't fucking banned. Go to Barnes and Noble. Go to queerbook.com and buy it. You don't have to have it in a fucking school.
Okay, hold on. Let me go to Jim Gingrich. Hold on.
What other books do you have a problem with, Charles?
Okay, hold on. Let me watch it with Jim Gingrich. Let me go to Jim Gingrich real quick because he's been waiting patiently.
Oh, first of all, we've had this debate a little bit before, and I don't like the term banning because it's not banning. And the hypocrisy that comes out of the judge and Joe at times is just baffling. In the text thread, they were excited that Scott Adams was banned because they said he went off on a racist liberal rant. Well, you can't have it both ways. We see that hypocrisy all the time on this panel. And number two, I don't know why I'm with Charles, why we're debating this about kids. Yes, they're going to see it. Yes, your kid can find stuff, but you don't take your 6-year-old and go, hey, have you heard of Pornhub.com? I mean, you still have PG-13 rated R movies. You still have to be 18 to buy cigarettes. They had books monitored everything that came into our library for age when I was a kid. It's nothing new. You can't say just because a kid, is going to see it sooner or later, just fucking throw it in their face. I mean, that doesn't work. And the hypocrisy, Joe, you're the one that said it was great that Scott Adams got banned. How the fuck?
No, I didn't. I said you guys were being fucking ridiculous because he was not banned. It was a copyright issue, and you allowed someone else's propaganda to whip up everyone else on the group chat. It's ridiculous.
You said you were glad that he was kicked off the newspapers because he went on a rant. So don't act like when it suits your political views, you're fucking happy.
But I didn't say that he should be banned. I said I'm happy he did because he's a jerk off.
Let's get into semantic. Yeah, you're happy about it. So when it fits you, you're fine. When it doesn't, you don't. It's hypocrisy. It's like you have.
All right, so just what you said to me before, Jim. Joe, you have zero ability to see past a narrative built to manipulate the masses. Not once have you defended anything, or anything that wasn't a liberal. You've drank the Kool-Aid and puppet at whatever fits the hive mind. It's ironic that you brought up confirmation bias when you question nothing and perceive it to be right. And I'm fucking furious because I debate ideas with you guys all the time, and I've never attacked one of you. And it's fucking infuriating that every time I push back,
I know exactly what you're going to say every
but I always get attacked.
All right.
The New York Post isn't you pushing back.
Okay, hold on. All right. This seems like a fantastic time to go to a commercial, Ed. Let's go.
This Harvey.
Hello, my name's Ian Hill. And when I'm not training to be the oldest man to play NCAA Division I college football, I'm the CEO of NGBN TV. Our mission's pretty simple. Educate, equip, entertain, support, and inspire men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's a one-stop shop for all that a man in his middle ages needs to be his best. So once you come and join us, come and be a part of NGBN TV. Now back to our show.
All right, welcome back to Decades, the show. We've got men in their 50s, 40s, 30s, and 20s tonight. We're going to try to have some good, honest talks about things we're most likely not going to agree upon. Obviously, the first one was a nice, spicy one. And it's one of those that we're just, this is going to be one that I think we could go round and round and round and round and round. And Joe makes a point. Harvey makes a point. James make a point. Gru, you didn't have a chance to chime in too bad. Chalice, you make a point. And it's one of those things that we're going to just keep going. And I honestly think this is just one of those that we're going to have to agree to disagree on if we're going to have some sort of, unless the entire show is going to be on this, but I kind of want to move on for right now. All right. So Joe, we'll just move to you because you wet your palate yet again. So you're ready to talk. Whatever happened to
Yeah, I mean, basically a seamless segue. Whatever happened to that recession that was supposed to happen, right? Isn't that like what we were talking? I mean, I'm just, I, I graduated with a degree in economics, and I have one joke about econ I like, and that's it. Economists have accurately predicted 13 of the last 5 recessions. We look at where we were at a year ago. Inflation was 8.6%. Today, it's around 3. The stock market is stabilized. PE ratios are normalizing, even with high interest rates. Like that's never happened before. Usually, when you have interest rates go up, the stock market goes down. Housing market's still strong. You're seeing like prices come down just a little bit, but they're still way above the highs or the level before COVID. And consumer spending, that's 70% of the US GDP, is as high as it's ever been. So I don't know exactly how this happened. Like we were in a really bad shape. Jim, I know you're in the tech industry, so the end of last year was an absolute bloodbath all over it. But it seems like everyone's best guesses from Elon Musk to the president were wrong, and the U.S. consumer just keeps spending our way out of any potential recession. It's crazy.
Jim, you look very confused, so I'm assuming you're searching for an answer. Why don't you hit this one?
I agree with Joe to a degree, except I've been reading and watching the last week talking about the average American family spending an extra $790. I look at my stepdaughter who's making over 6 figures who can't really afford to buy a house. So to me, that signals a recession because you have a whole generation of 20-somethings that can't go out and buy a home right now, or they're living like immigrants with 3 or 4 other people. Interest rates are up. Inflation has caused everything to go up. So, I hope Joe is right. I hope it doesn't happen. But to me, it's already here. I mean, even I feel it. When you're spending that much more money every month between groceries, gas, electricity, that's not good. That's not a positive change.
Gru, what you raised your hand?
Well, I think even though official inflation is down, but I do, grocery shopping, like several times a week for myself and my mom. And the actual prices for stuff, they didn't go down a penny, if you ask me. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, they went up and then they basically stayed there. So it doesn't help anybody who is trying to live paycheck to paycheck, or try to raise a family, or try to save money to buy a house or buy a property or a new car or vacation. Okay. So.
Harvey, you've got the state where people are moving to like crazy. What are your thoughts on this topic?
First of all, if you're thinking of moving here, stop.
No, I'm not. Too humid. Too humid.
Yeah. My governor is a degenerate, a bad person.
Wow.
Yes, I could say that. He's a piece of I know he's a piece of shit. He doesn't like
Get into
me.
that next.
Yeah. So I don't know. We want to talk about that. So if you're moving here, aside from being hot, don't do it. It's hot in hell too. Move there. Listen, when it comes to
Gru already lives there.
I'm already here. I have family here. That's the only reason I'm here. If I had known what I was walking into, I'd have gone west. But in terms of,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
I was just going to say, in regards to the economy, I do the food shopping. Like I said, I'm the dad. I'm home. And I've seen the prices of stuff go up. It's crazy. And the fact that they don't go down is just every time I go into a Walmart, sadly I have to go to a Walmart to buy my food or my milk and everything. And I've seen these prices. I've seen them from the beginning and I've seen where they are now. And the fact that they don't drop is what just always reminds me of just how much capitalism sucks. Well, it seems like a good idea, but it's a good idea for the people with the money, with the people trying to make it, as opposed to the people trying to survive. And we're the majority of the people, but it doesn't benefit us. So that's my thoughts.
So you're saying that prices are going up. So you're saying you're kind of disagreeing with Joe?
I can't disagree with Joe because I love the background that he has. I was listening, but then I saw he had the X-Files there. I kind of blanked out. So I don't know what he said, but I agree with some of his points. I'm not in total agreement with everything.
Well, inflation, it just means prices go up. If prices went down, that'd be deflation. So all that's happened is that prices have stopped going up as fast. But that is by design. Like the target isn't 0 inflation, it's 2% inflation to keep people's money from being safe in banks. So you got to spend it to keep the economy going.
Okay, Chalice?
Yeah, I was just gonna say definition of words be damned. I'm not seeing any, and I know that Joe said prices aren't dropping, but I wasn't going to argue that prices should be dropping. I was just going to say the prices are still going up. I still have less money at the end of every week. You know what I mean? So more than that, I did want to say that maybe I'm just the devil, but I'm planning on moving to Florida by the end of the year. I have good friends down there who rave about it. And I got some other friends that are planning on moving down there, and maybe we're all just evil people. I don't know, but I'll be there and I'll tell you how hot it is there. Maybe I'll tell you how hot it is in hell.
Group.
I want to say one thing. I hate to cut off. I apologize, group.
Go ahead.
I hear you, Mr. Wallace. What I will say is for people who have the same skin color as I don't know if you've heard of what the Green Book is. If you've seen the movie or if you know
Great
what
movie.
it is. Just trying to drive around. Actually, the movie was weak. But if you drove around this country, there were certain places where we were told not to go. And that's just because of racism and whatever. And Florida is right now on the top of that list of places for us not to go. I'm not going to explain that. It's not an experience that you're going to have to worry about. But Florida is not the safest place.
But the NAACP put that list out. Right. And the fun thing is, I'll take over for Bill right now since he's not here. Chicago has more murders of black people than Florida by like a 15-fold. So why wouldn't they put that out for there? Why wouldn't they put don't go to Illinois?
Yeah.
Because so we're talking about specifically crime here. So we're going to go to the obvious trope of black on black crime. Is that what we're doing?
I'm just asking a question because the NAACP put out that I saw the tweet, I saw the comment where NAACP put out, "Don't come to Florida. It's the bastion of hell." Blah blah blah. I get it. You know, it's not safe for the blacks. I got it. Okay, but then why don't they put that out for Chicago? Why would they stop that there? I don't understand. What aren't you allowed to do in Florida that Chalice is allowed to do?
What am I not allowed to do?
Why is it bad for you is what I'm asking as the host. I'm just saying, okay, I don't know. Why should he go there and not you?
Oh, understood. Well, to be fair, the entire country is very much in that way. But in Florida in particular, I'm a New Yorker. I'm from New York.
Okay.
So I came here to Florida. So I went south, I guess we'll say. And it's just gun central here. I'm not a fan of guns. I know everybody's got one. Everybody's probably got their piece on right now. I don't rock guns. It's not my thing. But driving as a black person in Florida is an adventure.
Okay,
and hoping that my kids will read a book that talks about our history. Not with my governor. We don't want that to happen.
Okay, but you didn't answer the question. What rights does Chalice have over you in Florida?
What rights does he have?
Like you're saying, it's such an unsafe place. Why is it safe for him?
No. Just keep in mind, racism for the longest time in this country was legal. So just saying rights doesn't solve a problem.
And I'm agreeing with you that it was, but that was back in the day. We used to also drill people in the head to get rid of a headache.
What?
It's past.
What's past?
I'm asking. You brought it up. I'm just asking. How is it better for Chalice or Joe or Gru or James to go to Florida than it is a black man? That's the only. I'm literally asking.
Okay, that's fine. If we're not going to go legal because it's not laws. The laws are written and they're supposed to represent everybody, but they don't. Just driving, just walking, just being. That's what's harder. And unfortunately, I can't explain that more than that. Just the reality of walking around. And Charles, until you've actually walked in these shoes, I can't.
Okay, so I can say the same thing to you. That's circular reasoning. I grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia. I can say until you've walked in my shoes as the white boy in the inner city of Philadelphia, you can't tell me shit. Do you see how that doesn't produce a dialogue, though? We're trying to understand. If it's so bad, I'm trying to understand.
Are you of the opinion that both of our lives are exactly the same and there's no differences in how we're treated and how we are represented in this country? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that's absolutely what I'm saying. Yes, I am
saying. Then there's no racism. Then it doesn't exist.
No, I'm saying that racism in the way that you're describing it does not exist. That's what I'm saying. In the way in 2023 in America, and you can shake your head and you can throw your hands.
No, it's all right. No, it's okay. It's nice to hear
that. I am saying, as a white man, that I do not think what you're describing exists the way you're describing it. I live in a predominantly black city. In this city, if you are a black man and you go out and you commit a very violent crime, our DA will slap you on the wrist, put you right back out there, and let you do it all over again.
Charles, you live in the neighborhood where all the cops live, like the border of Philly.
I've been to Florida a few times. I don't see, like, do you really think that I'm just driving around or other people are driving around and seeing black people and just pulling a gun out and shooting them? Like, what are you trying to imply?
Who are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you or Joe, because clearly Joe disagrees with me.
So since you're talking about the black experience, let's leave Joe out of it. In terms of blackness, you have no fucking clue.
You have no fucking clue about whiteness. See how that works?
I can't.
And I can't with you.
Right, you can't, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about racism. And you will never experience racism. You are allowed.
Yes, I have. I have experienced
You have
racism.
not.
Yes, I have.
Hold on.
Don't give me this bullshit.
Hold on.
Stupid.
You guys,
what
hold
you're
on.
saying is racist.
Hold on, Ed. You got to mute him all.
No, I am not saying.
Hold on.
Wow.
What I'm saying is,
Wow,
you guys are
this
both.
is bad,
you're
bro.
both arguing.
Yeah, I know it is from you.
Ed, you got to mute them all, man. Okay, hold on. You guys are both arguing the exact same point against one another. You're literally, it's just if Harvey said you don't know the white racism and Charles said you don't know the black racism, it would literally the exact same thing flipped. You guys have to understand that, because Harvey is saying, hold on, you can put him back on. Actually, let's go to commercial and then we're going to come back to this.
Ooh.
Hi, my name is Harvey Laguerre, host of Men of the Prize, here on NGBN. On this show, Black men discuss our unique struggles, what we've gone through to become the men that we are today, and we do it in a safe space. So if you want to see Black men discussing our unique issues, give us a try. And if you want to tell us about your unique struggles, get on here and tell us all about it. Talking is the key. My name is Harvey, and you are the man, and you are the prize. Now back to the show.
Thank you, Harvey, for telling me I am the prize. I do know that. You've had very good panelists before. There's a great one. I know you did a podcast about a year ago with a guest named Rubio. Phenomenal. Anyway, let's go to Jim. Let's go to Jim Gingrich. Jim, what's your thoughts on this? Because we're going to wrap this up. We're at 32 minutes in, and we're not going to get to yours or Gru's, but we're going to do this again when we film next. So, Jim, what's your thoughts on this? Am I seeing what I'm seeing correctly, where Harvey and Chalice are basically arguing the same thing, just flipped?
Kind of. I got a little different take on it, and I'm scared to death of Harvey jumping down my throat, because I want to preface this with saying I would never oversimplify racism in America. But here's something that came to my mind over the years: is for thousands of years, whether it was Europeans or Africans or Indians, you survived by sticking with your tribe, right? The guy that looked like you, the guy that dressed like you, the guy that was in the same cave as you, whatever. And so instead of talking about that in modern day school, if you grew up where I did, did I have any black people where I grew up? No, not at all. First time you see Middle Eastern men or, Hasidic Jews, you're like, wow, you don't feel comfortable. And instead of people talking about that, you get called racist just because you don't understand. If they had that conversation in school that we've been tribal in some way or another for thousands of years, white, black, Asian, whoever, then we might be able to say, oh, I shouldn't necessarily feel guilty for having some hesitation or tension. That's normal. Okay, now I move on and I'm over it. And I know that's has nothing to do with the racism Harvey's talking about that, but I'm saying that would be one step in helping children and people understand where we came from, that you shouldn't get liberal guilt shoved down your throat the first time that you're in a situation around people you've never been around, because we don't talk about it.
Gru, what's your thoughts on this? You live in a pretty multicultural area.
Well, actually, in my area, there are a lot of people who immigrated to the States from Iran when, Islamic Revolution took place in 1979, and I have some white people and some Asian people who live in my neighborhood. I never seen any incidents, between people, like any race incidents or anything, of that kind of nature. And I can see both Harvey's point and Charles' point, But again, unless you are in somebody's shoes or you grew up in somebody's shoes, then it's really hard to understand, everybody else's struggle with race or prejudice, and stuff. And I grew up in Soviet Union, and I'm of Jewish descent, and I had some issues with anti-Semitism, growing up. Although everybody was supposed to be equal, but minorities were not treated the same as Christians in Soviet Union, for example. Okay,
Joe, I don't think we've actually heard from you on this topic, have we?
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly blunt, I believe my place is just to listen when Harvey's talking about his experience. I can never live it or understand it beyond what small glimpse he shares with me. So I'm just trying to take it in and listen.
All right. Chalice, go ahead.
That is the exact point. I understood, Rubio. The point that I was making was just Harvey's point reversed. That's the point I'm getting at. If we all just say, well, you don't look like me, so you can never understand what I go through, there's never going to be any progress. So It might feel good, Joe, to say, well, I just have to shut up and sit here and listen, but there's no progress made there. If you want to make genuine progress, you need to be willing to have conversations. You need to be willing to engage. And you need to be willing to say, well, you might say that this is your experience, but I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying because I have two eyes myself. I live in reality, and what you're describing does not happen.
I think we're going to go ahead. Harvey, you got 1 minute to counter. 1 minute to counter because we got to wrap it up. Sub 60 Ed's yelling
Understood. At me. To actually imply or even to suggest that the racism I described doesn't exist is stunning that you would say that, because it does, whether you agree with it or not, whether you've seen it or not. I have no reason to make it up.
So give me examples.
What?
Give me examples of what makes it so scary for you to walk down the street in Florida.
Charles, I can't tell you.
I know you can't.
And it's not for the reason that you think. You're not making the point you're making.
I am making a point.
No, what it is that I can't tell you, but that doesn't mean it's not.
Why can't you tell me?
Because I can't. Do you think a woman could properly describe to you the feeling of being raped vaginally? Could you understand if she explained it to you? Could she get?
So you're describing walking down the street in Florida as a black man.
I'm talking. You know what? Walking down the street pretty much anywhere, but specifically in Florida.
Why?
Why? This is why.
But why? Like, what do they do? What happens when you walk down the street that makes your experience different than mine?
I can't help you, Charles.
I can't help you.
We're not going to be able to figure this out.
We're going to come back.
It's not something that needs to be figured out. It is what it is.
Because you're just going to sit there and posture yourself on a high horse.
Okay, hold on.
Oh no,
I'd love to be on a high horse, but I'm certainly not.
Well, we're at our limits, and
this is a good one. I like this one.
And we're going in circles. So I think Sub 60 Ed came out and said,
you cannot pick Harvey because this is his first one.
Ed, go away.
No, you can pick Harvey if you want.
No, I just, you know what? This one's a tough one because I can't pick everybody because I did that last time and I got booed unmercifully. Can't pick Rubio because that's
yes, you can.
You know what? I'm going to give it to two people.
Oh.
I'm going to give it to Chalice and Harvey because we're going to have these conversations, and yes, they can get heated, but the reason we have this show is that we can have these, and then so understanding can grow from this through time. And that's what we all have to understand. We were having this show so we can have different opinions. We can grow in learning and understanding where we all come from. And in the end, we can raise our drinks and have a cheers. So
I hate to give you a compliment, Sub 60 Ed, but you wrapped it up perfectly. Cheers.
Wow. Everybody heard that. That's on tape.
Yep.
Joe, you need a bigger glass next time.
Yeah.
All right, guys, until next time, make sure you guys are subscribing on LinkedIn and YouTube for decades. My name's Chris Rubio. We're out with episode 19.